Sawubona Mzansi. So today what we're going to have a look at is how to create our very own MIH package using the MIH Package Toolkit that was recently released. So before we even begin with looking at the documentation and reading everything over there, what we're going to have a look at is what are the prerequisites in order for you to get started. So we're going to be using the terminal when creating our folders, managing Flutter, all of those kind of things. So you need a basic understanding of what the terminal is all about and what commands to use, like cd to change a directory, pwd to print working directory, mkdir to make a directory, all of those kind of things. If you aren't familiar with it, I'll try my best to link it down below, and you can have a look at this cheat sheet that I am showing on the screen right now. So that's the first thing. The next thing is our toolkit is published on pub.dev. So we will have to have Flutter installed because it is a Flutter package, a Flutter UI toolkit. So Flutter is a way for you to build applications that run on multiple different platforms. So you code once, you have one code base, but you can deploy to multiple different platforms. So that's what we're going to be using as our foundation. You can follow the normal install Flutter tutorial that they do have under their documentation. And I would recommend, because this is what I used, you use VS Code in order to get things installed and ready to go. And then lastly, make sure that you have an editor installed on your computer that you will be using in order to edit your files, different files and different kinds of things. So what we're going to be using, like I mentioned, we're going to be using VS Code throughout this tutorial. So perfect. Now that we've got the prerequisites out of the way, you can go make sure that's all installed, and then you can come back to this video, and then we can proceed from here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our terminal. Over here, we're going to print working directory, pwd, and you can see I'm currently sitting in my home directory or my user directory. And from here, I'm going to make a new directory, mkdir, and I'm going to call this yt_video_demo. We'll click on enter, and then I'm going to change directories into that demo folder. Perfect. Now that we're there, we're going to create a Flutter app. So in order to create a Flutter app through the terminal, you just say Flutter create, and then we're going to call our Flutter app my_MIH, or let's make it my_first_MIH_package. Perfect. We'll click enter, and we'll give it some time to run through and create that for us. So you can see almost instantly our Flutter app is created. Don't worry about this error message. This is something to do with signing certificates and stuff, so ignore that for now. Then once we've done that, if we ls list the structure of this directory, you will see that we currently have our My Flutter package available over there. I'm going to change directories into that folder, and then we'll leave it at there. So we're done with that step. The next step that we are going to do is let's have a look at the MIH package documentation. So we'll head over. You can go to pub.dev. Once you go to pub.dev, just search MIH package. Press enter. And then at the top of the screen, you should see MIH Package Toolkit. That's what we're going to be getting up to now. So if we scroll down a little bit, let's read what the description is all about. The MIH Package Toolkit, a comprehensive UI toolkit and utility library specifically designed to help developers build MIH packages for the MIH project ecosystem. This toolkit provides a curated set of widgets, forms, and design utilities ranging from custom buttons, input fields, and complex layout components, like floating menus and package windows and the MIH package itself. So you can run through and you can see the features. If we scroll down to the bottom, there's supposed to be a demo over there, but we're going to demo it inside this video. And then we'll look at the get started. We'll move on to that. But if you'd like to see some additional information, you can have a look at our MIH Git repo in order to contribute to the project, or have a look at our example file, which is over there for you to, you can fork this, you can play around with the example file and give us what improvements we need to make. Let's head back over. Back. So perfect. Let's see, how do we get started? So we scroll down to getting started, and then let's read from there. To use this library, add the package to your pubspec.yaml. So in order to do that, what you have to do, we can copy this line of code, which is flutter pub add MIH _package _toolkit. We'll copy that. We make sure we're in the root directory of our folder. So if we go pwd, you can see we are in the my first MIH package. But if you change the name of that, if you list the structure, you will see you must be in the same area where your pubspec.yaml is situated. So once we have that, we'll paste it. And I'll press enter. And then we'll give it some time to import everything that we need for this toolkit. And you can see everything is sorted. If there's any issues over there, make sure you give it to an AI and fix that. It has to show no errors and everything is sorted. Now let's head back over to our documentation. And we'll move over to the usage section. So you can see to use this file, we need to import it to our .dot file. So we're going to import this. And we're going to use our usage over here in order to just give us some guidance on quickly getting started. So before we even begin, I think what we need to do is, let me clear the terminal. What we need to do is open up our emulator. So we're going to run this in an Android as an Android application. And we need to open up our emulator in order to do that. So what we will do to list the different emulators that are available, if you haven't set that up, I think they do have tutorials about that. But how I did it was I used Android Studio. Yeah, I think it's called Android Studio, and then from there you can set up an emulator and stuff. So in order to list your different emulators that you have on your machine, you just run Flutter emulators. Press enter. And then they should list you some emulators. So if you look on my side, I have an Apple iOS simulator, and then the Medium Phone API 35. So this was created using Android Studio. So we're going to be using this one over here. And if you have a look, you see in order to run the emulator, you say Flutter emulators -- launch and then the emulator ID. So we'll do that. So Flutter emulators -- launch and then the ID. So our ID, I'm going to use the Android one because I enjoy developing for Android. I'll paste that in, press enter. What should happen is our Android emulator should open up, and once it's up and running, we'll head over to the code and see what we need to do next. Let's give it some time to do that. I'll just click allow over here. And then perfect, our emulator is up and running. I do have a password over there, but that is for other projects. So I'll just enter my password in, and then our emulator is up and running. Perfect, perfect. So now we're going to head over to the actual code of our first MIH package. So like I mentioned, I am using VS Code for this. And I will open up a new folder. And I'll make sure under my YouTube video demo, my first Flutter package, or my first MIH package, I'll open that. I'll just trust this author for now, because it's myself. Perfect. I'll close the AI agent on the side. We're not going to use that for now. I'll close the welcome message. We're not going to use that. And let me increase the size of this. Perfect. So our size is increased, so it will be a little bit easier for you to read everything. Let me just minimize this a little bit so you can see. Perfect. So now we have the maximum space available for us. So what we are going to do is we're going to head over to the lib folder. So this is where, in a Flutter package, this is where you do majority of your programming. So we're going to open up our lib and then navigate over to the main.dot file. We'll open that up. And then there's some few things that we need to do. But before we do that, let's head back over to our package, our Flutter package documentation. And under the usage section, what I will do is I'll copy everything that's listed over here. So I'll just click the copy icon and then head back over to our code. So we'll leave the comments and everything for now. And what you'll have to do is, in order to follow along, we're going to remove the My Home page. So we'll just scroll all the way down, highlight everything. Once we reach the end, we'll just press delete. And then I'll paste in what I got from our documentation. So we'll paste that in. And then you will see there are a couple of errors. What we can do is just go and find those errors and fix them. So because we deleted our My Home package, we'll have to change that. So I'll just remove this. So I'll just highlight everything and I'll delete that. And then I'll change it to, or I'll add in example package. So AI did help me with this. And then you will see that these two imports, our import statements usually sit on the top of the file. So let's delete it and add it to the top. So I'm going to delete one down. Let's head all the way to the top, paste that in, and you can see that it repeats the material dot package. So we'll just delete one of them. We'll save everything. And now what we can do is run our application. So we'll head over to the terminal. And what we should be able to do over here is say Flutter, devices, press enter. Hopefully it can list something for us. And here's all our different devices that are available. And these are the important things. So emulator 5554, macOS, Chrome. And in order to run it, what we will do is we are going to say Flutter run -d. And then I'm going to copy this emulator 5, copy it, paste it in, press enter. And then we will give it some time to load and do its things, import all the different stuff. And we'll just open up the emulator and you can see. There might be some issues that appear, like I mentioned. There might be some issues to appear. It's not going to affect your project at the moment, but we will figure out how to add it into the documentation of how to remove these errors. I think it has something to do with one of the dependency packages that we are using for this project. So we'll give it some time to load. So it's just uninstalling an old version, don't worry about that. But now we're up and running with our very first package. Super simple, super easy, using the tools provided from, or using the documentation provided on pub.dev. And you can see what is an MIH package. Before we have a look at the emulator, let's have a look at some of our visuals that we created. So an MIH package is laid out like this. So you have an action button on the top left-hand corner. This action button is inside the MIH app. This button is normally used to head back over to the home screen of MIH, but this button can be used for anything inside your package. Next, we have the tool title, the tool icon, and the tool body. So these three elements are linked together. So each package has multiple tools inside it, and each tool has a title, an icon, and a body. So the title, this tells the user what exactly is this tool about. The tool icon allows them to navigate and switch between the different tools. And then the tool body is the actual stuff that the tool provides you with. And then inside a tool body, you can have a menu button if you'd like. But in this tutorial, we won't be going through the menu button. We'll just create a basic package, an MIH package on our side. So let's head back over to the code and clear things up. So I'm going to delete the comments. I'm going to save that. So the first thing that we're going to fix and update on our MIH package is this white color at the top of the screen, right? So you can see there's an MIH tool body can have multiple different colors. You can edit that and change that yourself. And we want to change this white color. So how do we do that? So I have things over on the side. I'm going to copy. And I'm going to paste. And then I'm going to delete this additional color scheme that it gave to us. Now that we have that, let's read exactly what this is all about. So this is under the theme data, so the theme of your Flutter app itself. Then we have the scaffold, which is basically the foundation of your application, and we want the background color. So the MIH Package Toolkit does come with its own set of colors to match the theme of MIH, but you can use whatever color you want. So in this tutorial, we will be using the built-in colors. So you'll just have to say MIH colors dot primary. So we're going to use the primary color. Then we have some color schemes over there. So this color schemes, we have the brightness, primary color, on primary, secondary, on secondary color, error, on error, surface, and on surface. So we set everything up. You can look at this, follow along, and you can use the same format over here, but you can play around with the colors also. So once we do this and save, let's open up our emulator again. And let's head over to our terminal and then reload. I think we should be able to say R, capital R to hard restart. And you should see everything should be updated now. So this is another thing. Let me head back over to the terminal. So once you have a Flutter app running, you will see that there is a few commands. So instead of switching off your app and then running it from the start again, you just have to either, if it's a quick hot reload, you can this type cap lowercase r, it will perform the hot reload. If you want a hot restart, if there's big changes that you made, capital R, and then H, a list of available commands that you can use: detach, clear, clear screen, and quit. So this is all the available tools that you will be using when working with your application. So let's head over to our app. So you can see now that our background is now the MIH blue color, and our icons are now the MIH secondary color. And if we switch between them, you can see things are switching. And yeah, like I mentioned, we have tool 1. If I swipe over, so you can either swipe over or you can click on the icons in order to switch between the different packages. So because in this tutorial, what I want us to do, now that we have the foundation of our MIH package ready for us, what we can do now is create a basic 2-number calculator with a drop down of the different operation that you want to use. So you have number 1, the operation like add, subtract, divide, multiply, and then number 2, and then a button to say calculate, and then the answer will be displayed inside a MIH window for us. So let's try and figure out how to do that using the MIH Package Toolkit. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is scroll down to our example package, scroll down to our example package class, and then here what we will do is under our action button, let's go back, let's navigate over to that. Under our MIH action button, let's not use an arrow, let's change this up. So instead of arrow, CW, I'm going to make it home. If I save this, open up our app, open up our terminal, and then press R. You should see that the home is there. I think there should be a home rounded. I like the rounded home, shop, home, repair, home outline, home rounded. I think this is a little bit better. Let's reload it. Yeah, so this is the one over here. Perfect. So the button does nothing. I think it's popping out context. Now let's remove that and just put a print statement in. So debug print action button pressed. So I'll save this. Let's hot reload our app, because I think there were some errors over there. We'll hot reload. Yeah, so perfect. Now if I press this, in our terminal, you should see action button pressed right over here. Perfect. This is exactly what we expected. Now that we have that sorted, let's scroll down to the bottom. So our action button is done. So now I only want one tool to use, right? So I'm going to change inside this quote, and I'm going to call it let's call it calculator, right? And what I will do is I'll remove the second tool, because we're not going to be using that in our tutorial. We're just making a simple one tool package. I'm going to remove this. I'll scroll down to the bottom. Under our tools section, because like I mentioned, they're all linked together. So we'll keep the first one there, our first tool icon. And then I'll delete the second one. So I'll highlight that, delete it. Delete this also. And then save. And then I'll scroll down to the bottom, and we will only be using one tool body. So I'll delete the second tool body. Then we can save. After saving, I'm going to head over to my terminal and then restart or hot reload. And you can see there's a home icon. When you press it, action button pressed. There's our calculator and only one tool. When you click on it, nothing happens because you're currently on that tool. So let's see how we can add our different components to this widget. So under the tool bodies method, you will see that it's a list of different widgets. So these widgets are, you can use any widget if you'd like, but I would recommend using the MIH Package Tool Body widget that is built into the toolkit for you. So over here, I'll remove the text that says Tool Body 1. And we'll replace this with a column. Or let's replace everything with a column. Let's go back. Let's head back over. Let's change this and make it a column. And then a column has children. And then I'll just use what AI is telling me to use over here. So this is saying this is a calculated tool body. Perfect. Below that, I'll just put a const size block just for some spacing. And I'll give that a height of 20. That's fine. And then below here, I will use the MIH form. I'll use an MIH form, and that requires a form key in order to work. So what we will do is at the top of our MIH package class, just above our override for our build widget, I will say final key form and then a global key. So I'll have that over there. I'll just make it underscore in order to make it a internal only variable. We'll get back over to our form, MIH form. I'll paste this in. And then now we have the different form fields. So if we hover over this, there is documentation for everything. So if you hover over this, it shows you what you need to do. And if we scroll further up to the tool body, it'll show you what the tool body is all about. And you can navigate over to this widget to find a little bit more about it. But so this is a list of different widgets. So perfect. Let's hook that up now. So I'm going to change inside Word. I'll just put an empty list for now, put a comma, put another comma, and I'll save just so everything can be organized for me. So inside here, the first thing that I want to have is I want to have a MIH text form field. All right. I'll head over to the end. I'll put a comma in. I'll put another comma in and save in order for it to auto align everything for us, and I'll head back home. So now they're asking us, what's the fill color? What color do you want to use to fill this input field? So once again, we're going to be using the MIH colors tool, and we're going to use the secondary color. Next is the input color. So this is the color of the text, that you're going to be inputting in. So because I'm using the secondary color for the input field, or the full field, I'm going to be using the MIH colors.primary. And then our controller, so if you know Flutter, you would need a text editing controller. We'll hover over it and it'll tell you exactly what you need. So we'll head back over to the top of our screen and I'll say final text editing controller. I'm not going to call it controller. Let's call it something better. Underscore number 1 controller. And then let's head back over and fill that in. So underscore number 1 controller. Now the hint text. So this is basically asking, so this is going to tell your user what kind of information do you want inside this field. So let's remove this, and it's just a string. If we hover over, it's just a string. So I'm going to say enter number 1. Number 1. So enter first number. So enter first number instead of number 1. Enter first number. And then now you're going to ask, is this required or not? So I'm going to change inside Word. And then, is this text required? It's a Boolean, so true or false, yes or no. So I'm just going to say true. Now we have our first field available. If we head over to our app, and then let's do a hot reload. And you can see that we do have our first number available over here. What we can also do is, if we look, there is a width option. So if you look at the widget right now, it's touching the edges of the package tool, and this is not really the best way of doing this. So what we can do is width, and change this to 300. And let's see what that looks like. So we'll save that, head back over, reload, and you can see it's now a little bit smaller. Let's try out our input field and see how it works. So at the moment, you can see that we can add both numbers and letters, but that's not what we want for this particular use case because it is a calculator and we only need numbers. Let's see if we can fix that with our MIH text input field. If we head back over and hover over the text input field, you will see that if we scroll down a little bit, there is an option called number mode, and it is a boolean, so it can be true or false. So we're going to make this true. And now if we save it and reload our app, now you can see even our keyboard changed to numbers only, and if we try enter any text, nothing happens. Or if we try enter any alphabet, nothing happens. But if we enter numbers, it appears. So that's how you can have it as a number only input field. So the next thing that I'm going to do is add our drop down field in. Or before I even do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a size box just to give it some space between our input field and our drop down field. So we'll just say const sized box, give it a height of maybe 10. And then what we will do is we'll add our MIH dropdown. So we'll say MIH dropdown field. I'll head over to the end, I'll put my commas in order to auto align for us. And then let's see what's required. So we need another text editing controller. So let's go ahead and add that in. So CE drop down controller, perfect. I'll copy this. I'll head back down to the bottom and I'll paste that in. And then our hint text, hinting towards the user, what's this for? Change inside word. Operation. Our drop down option. So if I hover over, you'll see it's a list of strings. So let's add that in. Change inside word. And then we have our pluses, a plus, minus, star, and divide. Then required text, we'll make that true. Editable, I'll make this yes because I want the user to edit this drop-down option. And then do I want to enable the search? So I'm going to make this no, false, because it's only 4 options, so you don't need to search through it. If you have a longer list, you can enable that on your side. Once we save that, let's head back over to our app and reload. And you can see our operations drop-down is available, and if we click on it, there's the options available over there also. So let's fix the width of this also. So I'll say width equals to, let's make it 300 just like our other field. And I'm going to copy our size box, paste it there. Head up to the top. I'm going to copy this, our other input field, because this is going to be our second input field. I'll paste it in. And then what I need to do is create another text editing controller for the second drop-down field option. So I'm going to yank this and I'll paste it down. And then it'll make it number 2 controller. Then we head back over to the bottom. We'll change this to number 2 controller. And then we'll make it our second number, and then it's required. So let's save this and see what that looks like. So we have our first number, operation, second number. Next thing we need is our calculate button. So let's add that in. So I'll copy the size box and I'll paste it at the bottom. I'll paste it here. And then we'll add our button in. So we'll say MIH button. We'll go to the end, put our commas in for alignment. And then the onPress method. So let's see what the onPress method is all about. So if we hover over that, it is a void function. And in order to create a void function inside Flutter or dot, you can change this word to an open and close parentheses and then a open and close round parentheses. And then the button color, we'll use our MIH colors. And we'll make it, you see there's a list of different colors that are available over here for you to use. I'll just use the green color for this. Tab, and then the child. So this is normally, if we hover over it, this is the widget below the widget tree. So this is what your button is going to display inside the button itself. So normally you would just put a text over there. So I'll change this and we'll just say text and then add and calculate. We'll say calculate and leave everything the same. Save it, head back over to our app, reload. And now we have a button. Let's fix the width of the button also. Reload. And you can see we have our first number, we have our drop down options, we have our second number and a calculate button. Currently the calculate button doesn't do anything. So that's the next step that we're going to do. So let's add some functionality to our button. I'll head over to our void function. I'll insert over here. And then in this field, I'll let AI give us some hints over here. And if we have a look at what AI generated for us, so we have our form field and we're validating it to make sure that everything is fine. In our forms, we have our number 2, we're converting it to a double. We have a number 1, we're converting it to a double. Then we have our operation, which we are keeping as a string. And we have the result. After that, we have a switch statement. So depending on what operation was selected by the user, it will do specific calculations. So if there's an error with our division, we'll have a snack bar pop up. If we have something else, we'll have invalid operator. And you know what? We can also use the MIH snack bar instead of the default ones. So MIH snack bar. And we'll just put in can't divide by 0. And we'll delete what AI generated for us. And we'll do the same for the other one. MIH snack bar. Perfect. And we'll delete what AI generated. Perfect. So now if we have a look at it, if we try to divide by 0, we're going to get a message. Let's make this red. Because it's our snack bar, you can have a background color to it. So let's make this a little bit red. So background color, MIH colors dot red. I'll copy this and I'll paste it over by our other snack bar. Paste. Save. Perfect. So now what happens if it's a correct result? What do we need to do? So instead of showing another snack bar over here, what we are going to do is we're going to display our results inside the MIH window. So we're going to say show dialog. We have this here, here, here. Inside this, we are going to return, inside our show dialog, we're going to return an MIH package window. We'll go over to the end, put our commas in, save so they can align. And let's see what the options are. So under our MIH package window, there's a full screen one. And this is, if it's true, it's going to be full screen. If it's false, it's not going to be full screen. So we're going to change inside Word. I don't want to make this full screen, so I'll say false. Our title, this is just a string. I'll call this results. On our X button, when we close the window, what should happen? So here we'll just make it remove that window from our screen by navigator.ofcontext.pop. And then inside our body, this is actually what's going to be displayed inside the window. And it's just also a regular widget inside here. So here what I will do, change inside Word, we have results and then the answer. We can be a little bit fancier with this. Before we do this, let's wrap all of this. Let's wrap this text inside a sized box. And then give the sized box a height of 500. And then in the text that we're going to display, what we can do is we can say dollar num1 space dollar operation space dollar num2. And then instead of saying results, I'll just put an equal sign and then the results. We'll save this and let's see how this application is coming along. So let's try it out now. So we're going to add our first number, which is 150. On our drop down, I'll say plus. Our second number can be 120, and then we can click calculate. And you can see inside our results window, there is a 150 plus 120 equals 270, which is correct. Let's close this, add the subtract sign, equals, and you can see it is equals to 30. If we say multiplication, it's equal to 18,000. And then if we divide, it's equal to 1.25. And let's see our edge cases. So if we try to divide by 0, what happens? And you can see can't divide by 0 in our MIH snack menu. We'll click it again so you can see. Perfect, so our app is now sorted. And cool, that's how easy it is to use the MIH Package Toolkit. So this provides you with the foundation to create any idea that you'd like. And one day in the future, we'll create a tutorial and a video on how to add this to the MIH app, a part of the MIH project. And that's a little bit more advanced, so we will do that in the future. But for now, use the MIH Package Toolkit, create whatever you want to create. You can publish it on your own. You don't have to, you're not forced to publish it with the MIH app. You can publish the app on your own. And please feel free to tag us in any videos that you create about it so that we can see it and also promote your application too. Thank you so much everyone for watching this tutorial, this video, this guide video on how to use the MIH Package Toolkit. Please feel free to drop a comment below to let us know what you think about it, what you're working on, how we can improve it. As you saw, there are some bugs over there that we need to fix, but we will fix that in the future. And what you can also do is contribute to the project. Like I mentioned, head over to the documentation, scroll down to the bottom. Under additional information, click on our repository and contribute over there. You can log an issue of fixes that need to be happening, and we'll try our best to do it. And also you can fork it and make your changes, then create a pull request for us. We can hook that up for you. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow us on all our different platforms. We're mainly available on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, mainly the main platform, but please feel free to head over, like us over there, follow us over there, and we'll try our best to create more tutorials and more guides like this in the future, creating more and more advanced packages. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing your MIH package, and let's keep working hard, Mzansi.